Good evening, and I am calling in on a late evening right now from the UK. The time is nearly 11 o'clock back here in the UK, but fantastic to have Chapter 2, Tim Witherspoon on Plugged TV, Plugged Pod, talking a little bit more in depth about his career, and we're going to go back to your amateur career. So Tim, welcome to the show again.
How you doing? It's almost 6 o'clock over here, so
yeah, it's pretty late in the UK, but it's worth getting online to speak to you, my friend.
But we can get this done anytime you want. I'm looking forward to it every day.
It's beautiful. So we're going to roll back a few years now for you, and we're going to take you back and just obviously give the viewers an insight into what it was like as an amateur and how it all began for you.
Yeah. Well, we all know that everybody fights, boxing and stuff like that, because in every sports and every other sports, when the person does something fantastic, they always have a fight thing. They'll throw punches or something like that. If somebody kick a goal, they'll start throwing punches. A lot of different sports relate to boxing and everything. So, but in the beginning, I started out playing football. And I wasn't really thinking about boxing or anything. I was groomed to be a professional football player. I was a tight end. So, and plus my personality, people didn't think that I was going to be the boxing type. So, and I changed that around too. So, when I was playing football, baseball, tennis, golf, I played golf, and everything. When all that stuff was going on, I wasn't thinking about boxing. I knew boxing was out there. We heard about Muhammad Ali. We was watching Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier, all the big greats in boxing, and watching them when they had their fights, but never thought about boxing. I was young. I saw Muhammad Ali fight Joe Frazier. I saw other big fights, but never thought about it. My mom came home one night with my dad. They went over into New Jersey, and they watched a guy by the name of Gypsy Joe, not Jersey Joe Walcott, who was a heavyweight champ, but Gypsy Joe. He was a gypsy. He was a guy that party at night and then come fight and win his fights. So they called him Gypsy. So all this stuff was going on, and I never thought about boxing. And so
I just thought you there, Tim. Just really just interjecting a little bit. I mean, I love sport. Likewise. All levels of sport. I played a little bit of tennis, did athletics, football, or at least I tried football. The lads will go, no, he was never a footballer, but I love football. I did everything. And then I decided to throw myself into golf because it was a career that I could cultivate. And like boxing, you're on your own. And do you know what the careers advisor says? They said, what do you want to be when you get older? I said, a golf pro. And they said, no. What do you really want to be when you get older? I said, a golf pro. And everything in my career was dissuading me from sport. It was more pushing me the other way. But maybe your career is the same. I mean, as a sportsman, you just know in your heart that that's what you wanted to do. You wanted to be immersed in sport, and that's what life was, yeah?
Were you interested in any other sports besides golf?
Yeah, I mean, county tennis, football, I loved athletics. And then golf almost, for me personally, came later on. And the reason
same me
and
the same thing with me. It was like a dream. You dream to be something or to do something one day, and you wind up somewhere else. And I'm like, I'm still kicking my butt saying, how did I become heavyweight champion of the world? No, serious. I'm up there saying, I'm famous. I'm a celebrity. And I'm up there walking the streets. So, I don't be looking for the celebrity status. I walk, I'm just Tim, I shake hands. I don't care if I had 20 million, I'm still going to be friends and talk to you. And I was like, I'm still today. I'm the heavyweight champ, 2 times heavyweight champ, and I don't know when it's going to set in. Maybe with boxing.
Mate, I mean, amazing, right? I've yet to become world champion of golf, which I don't think that title even exists. I think number 1 in the world is probably the best, and I'm probably not going to achieve that if I'm honest. But
see, I said the same thing, and I was saying that same thing, and here I am.
But
still got time.
But for me, the real reason I chose golf over many other sports, and if I look back, it was a real tough decision because I wasn't bad at football and I loved all those other sports, but
Yeah.
we were winning 2-0 in a match, and I was on the pitch. I was a big centre back. I used to, command the defence a little bit and knock a few
Okay.
headers in.
You used to rough people up.
Well, I tried to, but yeah, where I'm going with this is it was taken off at half time, and then we lost the match, and I remember talking back, and it was like, well, why did you take me off? And it was a team sport, and that really, for me at that point, it made a decision that no matter how good I felt I was always going to be part of a team, and that team could pull you here and there, and golf was very individualistic, as is boxing. You're out there on your own, and you live by the sword, you die by the sword, and I'm sure you take some punches, they proper hurt, and you're putting your guard up all the time, and that's what it's all about. Yeah. So
yeah, I really didn't take too many punches, but I did take some. Andrew Glada, Call the Truth hit me good. Ray Mercer hit me good. Like a lot of head, but I had a good defense, and I avoided a lot of that punching, a lot of the punches that were coming at me. Then
it's wicked.
Matter of fact, when I was an amateur, I got hit real good. I dropped him. I dropped the amateur. He was a champion amateur, and I dropped him, and I started jumping around. I think this was like my third or fourth fight, and he was a champion, a former Olympic boxer or Philadelphia champ or something. And I fought him and only had like 3 fights. And I dropped him in the first round. I was jumping all around the rim, all around the ring, like I wanted to fight. And then I stopped. He got up, and I was like, and he was bigger than me. So he got up, and I thought he was going to stay down, and he continued in the fight. I won a decision, but then he rocked me in the next round. He rocked me, and then the fight went on, and I won. But he was a champion, and I just went in there with him. And you just got to be prepared all the time.
Can we just talk a little bit about the fear factor, I suppose? I mean, rolling back many years now in your amateur career, you didn't know how good you were going to be at this stage. You're not world champion, and a lot of the emotions that not just a boxer, but as a sportsman, you go through, you encounter, all that anxiety, that frustration, that built up that expectation. How did you cope back in the day with all of that yourself? I mean, not easy, but how did you cope? I mean, I don't know if you can recall that. You've got a winning mindset, but were those natural emotions still part of your makeup?
There was other people believed in what the natural things that it was a bunch of us, like about six or seven of us that played sports together all the time. That encouraged me to keep pushing forward, because we was trying to find out which guy was going to make it. It was me, my brother, I had 3 brothers. Me, my older brother Anthony, my older brother Steve, and my younger brother Bernard. And it was a friend of mine, Butchie Knight. It was Willie Perry. It was Keith Davis. It was about 7 of us, and we all was. And Tommy Wade. It was just
So I just lost you there, Tim, on the connection. You back on connection? Just lost you there a little bit.
I'm sorry. Tommy Wade was pushing all of us to be professionals one day. And every weekend, like I told you in the last episode, that he would come in from New York, but he was from Philly, but he moved to New York, and he worked for the network NBC in the printing room. And so he would come and make sure he would push us to go to church. So we all was figuring out which one. We did baseball, we did basketball, we did football. Football and baseball was one of the main ones. Basketball and the other things was like back on the list. So he was trying to get us ready for baseball or football, American football. And so we all tried to do our best every time he came. We were learning. He was teaching us. Then we learned from watching television I made it out of everybody at heavyweight champion of the world. But far as football, American football, my brother Anthony, he made it all the way to college, and he was really good. But then he just lost interest in stuff like that,
So,
Other than
I mean, I grew up also with a great network of very talented golfers, of which I'm still very much in contact with a lot of them now, and great friends, and they push me. They push me to this level of where where I feel I was look back and I think I'm so grateful for the friendships, the organisations, the upbringing, my family taking me up and to the golf course. But that amazing. If you look back, you can't recreate that. And I think what I want to try and share with the viewers is the importance of momentum. I mean, momentum is so essential. You make one decision, that leads to the next thing, that leads to the next thing, leads to you never know where
you have to keep going. You have to keep going forward.
You never know where it's going to go, right? And but just from my point of view, I mean, even putting this together and pulling this together with you, as I've said so many times, so just inspired to talk to the world. And I want to get into your mind, Tim. I want to know what it felt like back in the day, when you're standing out there and you've gone in from your amateur career, which was not perfect, as you well said and well versed, and then all of a sudden you turn professional. There's got to be this something, right, so deep and meaningful that takes you. Nobody can just do what you've done, and I want to find out a little bit more about that. And if you don't mind sharing that with me, I mean, that's just going to be amazing.
Yeah, I really didn't know where I was going. We love sports. And I didn't get into boxing thinking I'm going to be a champ one day like most of your boxers did. I just liked the sports, and really I wasn't thinking. I just went to the gym and started training because I like the new sports, football, baseball. Now we're in the boxing. So it was a challenge. And I wasn't thinking amateur champion, golden gloves, or heavyweight champ of the world. I just got into it. And that's what's so different about me. There's a lot of young amateurs were groomed in the, I'm gonna be champ, amateur champ. I'm gonna be gold medal. I wasn't thinking that. It's all started coming step after step, and I'm like, whoa, this happened. Oh, I knocked this guy out. Oh, I'm a champ. Oh, this, and it kept going higher and higher. And I was like, I'm finally there, and I'm not even really enjoying it because I didn't really appreciate. Well, not appreciate. I didn't really realize the journey that I was going through. Most people plan it. They plan it, and I didn't plan my journey to be champ. I just liked sports, and I kept doing it. And then things start falling in place, and I'm like, oh, I'm the champ of the world. Amazing. Seriously, that's what happened. I didn't. Before I started boxing, I didn't say, oh, I'm gonna be a gold medal champ. I'm gonna be a amateur champ or heavyweight amateur. I didn't think that way. I just got into it, and everything fell in place. So that was most of the guys, Holyfield and Tyson and all of them probably, oh, I'm going to be this champ, I'm going to be that champ. But I didn't think of that way. I just gradually, things fell into place, and then I realized, and then when I became champ, I'm like, I'm champ of the world. That's what happened with me.
That's amazing.
My goal was I'm going to be champ of the world. I want to be like Muhammad Ali. I knew Muhammad Ali. I knew of him. I just got into the sport. That's all.
Incredible. It's incredible. Yes. And I mean, on reflection, looking back, what would you do differently? Like as an athlete, as a sportsman, as a human, what would you do differently looking back? And I know that's a really tough question, right? Because we don't have that. We don't have hindsight.
I think about it every day. It ain't going to be tough. I think about it all the time.
Mate, I've made many. Well, we brand them as mistakes, right? And they're not mistakes. We call them mistakes. We call them, and then that's where the mental health comes in. We beat ourselves up endlessly.
Okay.
But they're not mistakes really, because we don't know at the time. So we make the best decisions.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Time, right.
So, we got something similar. Well, yeah, we think in the same way.
But
I like that.
In the perfect crazy world, which we can't turn back we can't go in a TARDIS, but if there was a few things that you would do differently, or any advice to any young sportsman coming through, what advice would that be? I mean, what would you give out there if there were 2-3 pieces of advice?
Yeah, this is one subject or one thing that I really I really can capitalize on. Well, tell the young boxers something that I was wanted to do, and I do it sometimes when I do interviewing. What I do different? It's going to be hard to explain to young people coming up, and it's very few young people that stick to their plan and stick on it and go through with it, and they're always going to have something different to do. So if I was if I was to start over and do it again, I would train extra hard, harder than I used to train before. What would I do different? I would do the same thing, but I would train harder. I wanted to be in shape like Mike Tyson, like Evander Holyfield, like Lennox. I wasn't in that type of shape, so I had knowledge of making a guy miss and slip and feel comfortable about getting in the ring because I knew that the only time that I would get hit if I let him hit me or I made a mistake, because I was taught how to block real good. That's one aspect. But other than that, there's not too many things you could explain to it. You can explain some things to them. They have to live it themselves and go in it. But with me, I would train harder. I didn't want to. It wasn't about education with me because I had a real good teacher, not the amateur trainer, but the professional one, Slim Jim. So far as I wouldn't say, well, I'm gonna get another trainer. I'll get somebody else to teach me. I had the best. I would train harder. We chopped wood. There's a lot of things they did that we didn't do. They didn't believe in weights a lot when I started fighting. Like the trainers, no, don't lift too much. Lift a little bit. But now they lift in good weights. They're lifting heavy, and they're really special, making it specific to use weights. So, and a lot of other things. We didn't have that. So I would train extra hard. If I would have did all that stuff that they doing and looking sharp and tight like Mike Tyson and them, I think I still would be. I would be phenomenal, more phenomenal, I know I'd have been more successful. But I was in shape, but not like those guys.
I mean, I think comparisons are a very dangerous thing, right? Because you are. I know this, right? You are so unique. You are Tim Witherspoon. I'm Mark McGeehan. There'll never be another you or I, and yet we're still in this world of comparisons. Because there you mentioned several names of great stature, and we've always got to have our icons. We've always got to have our heroes. We've always got to look up to them, and the work ethic that they, obviously impart is incredible. But by the same token, we cannot be them, and we can only be the great to ourselves and great. And you've been great, and that's amazing. But to anybody growing up, I think yes, have a hero, have a legend, work seriously hard, but find your own self and your own journey. Would you agree with that? Would you agree with that?
Yeah. There's a lot of boxers out there that train hard, and what happened was too, because they were in really phenomenal shape. I don't know if I'm on the same page right now. If they wasn't, the skill level wasn't really high, but their conditioning was, and that carried a lot of them. They were in good shape, so that blocked the fact that, well, how much do they know? Knowledge. How much knowledge do the boxer know? But is he in good shape, or does he know a lot? So I was one of the guys that knew how to do it. I was in good shape, but not as good a shape as them. Now,
this is fascinating.
A lot of fans, real quick, a lot of fans would say, "Whoa, he's a hell of a boxer." But a lot of them, I see them and don't have the skills, but they be in phenomenal shape, and that covers everything up. You can't tell if he's a good boxer because he got the guy out the way and he's in good shape, but his defense wasn't that good. But he got the guy out the way for people to notice that he was a really good boxer and stuff.
This is fascinating. It seriously is giving me a really deep insight into everything. And for me, I mean, I know you're coaching still, and I know you're coaching your craft. And the way I present it is it's technical, physical, and mental. Or is it mental, technical, physical? I mean, the three facets for me are all interwound. But there you've mentioned the knowledge, the shape, the technique. I mean, it's everything, right? But if is there, from your mindset and your journey, is it more physical in your sport? Is it more mental, or is it everything? Is it technical? I mean, same with golf. You're in the ring. You're on the golf course. We're on our own. You make a mistake, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt. You're going to get knocked, and
Yeah.
and then you're going to beat yourself up because you made a mistake as well. So
Yeah,
not
but
only
tennis, I mean, golf, you definitely have to be more. You have to be you have to concentrate a lot more, and you have to know exactly what to do. Know that. I know you have to know exactly how to balance yourself and get that ball. That's really hard. To me, it's really complicated. You have to work a lot of long hours to make sure that you get everything right. The same thing with us. But I think you have to calculate more than we have to calculate, because you could just throw a punch and land it, but you got to put that ball in that hole. That takes a lot of concentration, a lot of practice, more practice than what we do. Because you must hit them balls 1,000 million times just to get close to that hole. You ain't gonna get in that hole a hole in one. Have you ever had a hole in?
Yeah, I've had two. Thankfully, I've had
Yeah,
two.
hole in one.
I've had two, but that's not enough.
Two.
If you
And
think
how long you been playing?
well, this is crazy. 23 years, two hole-in-ones. I've had two career 63s. I've won professionally, but the crazy thing is that we can't hurt anyone. We can't throw punches. You hit a bad shot, you can't whack anyone.
If you hit them with the ball, you can. If you hit them with the ball, you can.
Yeah, well, yeah, but that might cost you a few thousand.
Oh, you serious? You
Yeah,
serious?
no, well, you can't start aiming golf balls at people, Tim. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
You can't
Yeah.
frustration. So anyway, back to you. So amateur career went pretty well, yeah?
Yeah. Real quick. Yeah. Like I like my first. I told you on the last episode. I went to the gym, and I didn't realize the trainer that I had wasn't really the best in the world. And I was getting hit a lot, leaving the fights, bloody. I won 5 out of the 7 fights. 5 out of the 7 fights. I lost to Marvis Frazier, who's Joe Frazier's son. And these guys had I only started fighting in 79, and I'm fighting Larry Holmes in 1983. That's 4 years. So I turned amateur, and I'm fighting Marvis Frazier, who had way more experience than me, and I lost a split decision. I did really well in the fight. My first fight, I fought a 5-time Golden Glove champion. This how much my first trainer, didn't realize. He just put me in there with a guy that had all these fights, and I lost the decision.
Were you scared? Were you scared?
No. Okay, you did mention something about being scared. I was having fun. So when I put the headgear on, the mouthpiece, I don't fear. I be looking for fun. It's fun because I played football, hitting each other. That's contact. I wasn't scared of nobody. No, I wasn't scared. And there was a lot of boxers. You could tell that they were scared. They were scared, but I wasn't. It was a sport. It wasn't violence to me. It was just you hit me and I go down. If I hit you, you go down. That's sports. I didn't fear. I didn't fear.
All those years back, I suppose, no expectation either. Yeah, I mean that's a big thing that I try and present and help with my up and coming golfers is no expectation. And a very good friend of mine, and if he's listening in, he will know who he is. A multiple winner, and he said to me a great piece of advice. He says, anytime you stand on the first tee, leave all the expectation behind. And he went on to win many, many tournaments. And that's a tough thing to do, yeah. When you want to win, you want to give it your best, but you got to leave your expectation behind. And if you look back at your amateur career, at this time you're not a world champion. At this time, you don't know what your life's going to come on to portray. You were just having fun, right? And how beautiful a place is that? How beautiful a place is having fun.
No, like me and Buster Drayton. Buster Drayton had won the junior middleweight championship of the world, and we from the same neighborhood. And I was going to the gym with him, me, my brother Anthony, Keith Davis, and my brother Bernard went afterwards. But there was no fear. It was just fun. There was a lot of boxers like they scared, but it was fun because we had headgear. The headgear resembled a football helmet. football. I
Yeah.
like the headgear because I was playing American football, and like the pad, like you wear the cub. So I was in my mind, it was just similar to like football, but you just gotta throw punches and bang each other. I wasn't scared at all. I loved it, and I sparred with this guy named Randy Mack. He was way more experienced than me, and he seen me coming. Then I started hurting him. As we started meeting each other at the gym and training.
I've just lost your face there, Tim. The camera's gone.
Oh,
There you go. He's back.
I did really well against. I did really well against Randy Mack. He was a southpaw, and I was just a young kid boxing him. And I started getting fast, and then I started taking over as an amateur. I started giving him a good work, and that's what gave me confidence. After I started doing good against this guy, I was like, I'm moving up the ladder. And that was early. I only had 7 fights.
Okay.
7 fights. I lost to Marvis Frazier in the amateurs. I learned my lessons, amateur stuff. And then I moved on to professional. When they wouldn't sign a fight with me when I turned pro. He's a really nice guy too, Joe Frazier's son. He's a really nice guy.
Cool. But and then obviously we're going to be teeing this one up, pardon the pun, but we're going to be teeing this one up for the next chapter, which is where you're going to be turning professional. And just in obviously the build up to that, your emotions all of a sudden that you're doing something that's fun and you're enjoying it, you're good at it, and then you're getting ready for that big professional career. What are your emotions at this point? What, you're going to make a livelihood out of this, a living out of this. Big decisions. I was there. I turned pro as a golfer at the age of 17, and that was probably a very different story to you turning pro as being a boxer. But that I know the feelings to some extent.
Well, there was no plan really. There was no plan or anything. When I turned amateur, like I told you, I walked into the gym. I just was training every day. My mind wasn't on being an Olympic champion. My mind wasn't on being heavyweight champion of the world. It was just playing sports, and we led into this. So in the amateurs, I wanted to go to the Olympics. I learned lessons real quick because when we went into the gym, I walked into the wrong. I went to the wrong trainer, I think, and I did pretty good comparing to having a real good trainer. I did pretty good. I wanted to go to the Olympics. They stopped me from going. He was telling me, my trainer said, you don't want to go to the Olympics, because I think he would have got pushed out, because I would have found out that he wasn't sufficient enough or good enough to take me there. But I knew something was wrong. I was getting hit a lot. Even though I won fights, I was getting hit. And I was like, something's wrong. And later on, I found out what the problem was. But there was no plan or nothing like that to turn. So when I was going to turn pro, when I was still amateurs, I found out that Larry Holmes, I think I told you this before, Larry Holmes heard about me and wanted to hire me as a sparring partner. And they called my trainer, but my trainer never told me. And then somebody came to the gym and said, Tim, how come you didn't take the job with Larry Holmes? And I said, what are you talking about? And he said, yeah, they offered you $1,000 a week to come spar with them. And I said, what? And he said, yeah, no, this was told outside of the gym. They told me outside of the gym. So when they told me that, I said, what? So I didn't confront Clarence Booker, because I was sparring with Matthew Saad Muhammad and his trainer. I was calling him, talking to him, and so we went up to Muhammad Ali's camp to train. He was fighting John Conte, and we went up to the training camp, started training.
Just a quick one there.
This is when I found out about my trainer didn't want me to leave him, because he knew I would have found out that other trainers knew more than me, and somebody would take me from him. So that's why I didn't go to the Olympics, because it was bad in the beginning. It was in the beginning, it was kind of, somebody trying to steal me and take me somewhere.
I'm going to throw one in there. You mentioned John Conte. I actually played golf with his son. Do you know that?
Oh, I just met his sisters, and I met him. He is funny.
His son is a lovely guy as well, and been a very, very successful golf pro as well in his time. Yeah, no. It's a small world, yeah? It's a small world.
Yes. I'm blessed to have to meet all these different people and to be heavyweight champion of the world. And that's why I don't mind taking interviews. And you're a personal friend and acquaintance with my agent over there. And I'll just keep talking till I get it right.
Hey, buddy, you're doing an amazing job, and I know that we are now obviously moving, and we are priming for some really interesting stuff coming next in your career. And we're going to park that for now. I'm going to let the viewers digest that information there tonight. That I suppose the midsection of your career, and obviously what we've got coming up is some heavyweight stuff, some hard hitting interviews, and yeah, the best is yet to come, as we well know. So I want to thank you once again for your time again tonight, Tim. I know it's building, and I know that, well, first and foremost, how much of a heartfelt conversations we're having, and it's totally from your heart, and that is wicked.